Hi, I'm Holly, and this is Green Time Workshop. This is a shop where you can come in and learn how to make all your bath and body products from scratch using natural products. Today, we're gonna make a soap, this one, that's made with cucumbers and aloe and peppermint essential oil, and then all sorts of other great for your skin oils. So let's get started. The first thing you're gonna have to do, and you'll have to do this ahead of time, is you're gonna have to get some cucumbers. You're gonna cut up your cucumbers, and you're also gonna have to have some aloe. Now you can get the aloe either from the store, or you can just get it right from your plant if you have a big aloe plant. But you're gonna need quite a bit of it, so it's gonna be a lot of aloe off your plant if that's what you're gonna use. So you're gonna take your cucumbers and your aloe, and you're gonna put them in a food processor, and you're gonna blend them all up. Then you're gonna pop them in the freezer, and you're gonna freeze all that cucumber and aloe. Now the reason why we're gonna freeze it is because when we add lye to this, if it wasn't frozen, it would scald it like crazy. It would turn it like a horrible brown color, and it just wouldn't look good. So we freeze it to keep it nice and cool. So once we've taken our cucumbers and our aloe, blended it up in a food processor, freeze it into little cubes, and then we can get started. So I'm gonna set this aside for a second. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my lye. Now, these are lye beads. This is sodium hydroxide. Okay, yes, it is dangerous. So, I'm gonna put some gloves on. Safety first. Now, I wear glasses, so I generally do not wear safety glasses on top of them. If you don't wear glasses, or if you wear really small glasses, put on a pair of safety glasses. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I am going to start sprinkling just a little bit of the lye in here to get this going. Just a little bit. And it'll start getting this to melt down a little bit. In the meantime, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start taking some of my solid oils. This is coconut oil. I'm gonna take my coconut oil, and I'm gonna put this in this big batter bowl. And I'm gonna take my shea butter and put that in, and cocoa butter. Now, cocoa butter is an amazing substitute for palm oil. I personally don't use palm oil because I don't think it is very sustainable. And I like orangutans. Look it up. Okay, so I have all this. I'm gonna pop this in the microwave to get this melted down. So we're gonna pop that in there for about 3 minutes and let that do its thing. In the meantime, I still have this to contend with. So we put just a little bit of the lye in there to get it to start melting. Now, normally, if you were to add lye just to room temperature water, it'll go up to about 200 degrees instantly. And one thing you don't want to do when you're mixing this around, you want to make sure you're in a nice open space that's ventilated, and you don't want to be standing over the top, because there are going to be fumes coming off this, and they're not really good to breathe in. So we're going to slowly kind of work this through, and you can see how it's already starting to melt. We're doing this at a very slow pace, and we're doing it very gently because we don't want to splash this up. Because the lye on its own, in the dry form, isn't that dangerous if you were to spill it, or if it were to get on your skin. But the minute you add moisture to it, that's when that ectothermic reaction happens, and it heats up like crazy, and it can burn you. So you don't want that. So we're just gonna keep putting a little bit in here at a time, and gently stirring it around to get that to melt down. Meanwhile, we've got our oils that are melting down in the microwave. I'm gonna give them a check and a stir, because we don't want this to get too hot. We just want it enough so that it's gonna melt down the oils. Just splashed it. Okay, that's gonna go right back in. Continue to microwave. And we start working on this again. And it is kind of a slow process. You need to be patient. Okay, now that we have all of our shea butter, coconut oil, and cocoa butter is all melted down. And here is our cucumber and aloe lime mixture. And all the cucumber ice cubes melted down. Now we're gonna add our other liquid oils to the rest of the oils. And this is castor oil. Castor oil in soap helps with bubbles. A lot of people like lather in the soap, and that's what castor oil kind of really helps with. And of course we have olive oil. That's gonna go in. And then I have a little bit of sweet almond oil and avocado oil. The reason why I'm not adding I don't add the liquid oils in with the hard oils when I melt them, because I don't want them to get too hot. This is a cold process soap, and I like to keep it on the cooler side, and I don't like to have to wait for oils to cool down. So I only heat up what I have to heat up. Okay, so now that we have our oils and our lye, everything is kind of ready here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take the temperature of the oils and the lye, because we want them to be, they don't have to be the same exact temperature, but we want them to be somewhat close. Okay, so we're going to take the temperature of the oil, and you can use just a regular little kitchen thermometer with this, and we'll take the temperature of the lye. We want to kind of be within like 10, 15 degrees of each other, and we are. Okay, so now we're going to have a couple other things we're going to be doing. Now, since we have like a swirl in this, we have to separate some of the soap batter. And we're going to prep this up in here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a little bit of the oil into this little funnel pour spouty container thing. Just makes it easy. And then what I'm going to add to that is some chromium oxide, and it's green. And I'm going to add some French green clay to that. Now I could just add just the French green clay, but French green clay really isn't green. If it is, don't buy it, because it shouldn't be. So I'm just going to have this somewhat mixed up already, so that when I pour the soap batter in there, I don't get clumps of green or clay. All right, so I'm going to have that ready. I am also going to have my mold ready. And this is a silicone mold. And I'm going to have that sitting down. Actually, I'm going to put that right there. All right, the other things I'm going to have that I'm not going to add quite yet is I have some titanium dioxide, and that's going to whiten up the soap a little bit. You see how it's kind of white and not like a beige color? It's just to make it a little bit whiter. And if I didn't put this in here, it would be more of a beige in the green, and it just looks nicer in the white. And titanium dioxide is this, it's in all your makeup. It can also be put into mineral sunscreens along with zinc oxide. Totally natural. And then I also have some peppermint essential oil. Whoops, and I'm gonna spill that all over the place. All right. Now you want to make sure you have everything set, everything ready, because once you put that lye water into your oils, you're not stopping. So what is going to happen here, this lye water is going to go into this oil. Okay, I'm going to use a stick blender to blend it up a little bit. I'm going to add my essential oil to that, and then I'm going to pour some of this out and put it in with the green. Then I'm going to go and take my titanium dioxide. I'm going to put it in the big batter bowl, I'm gonna mix that up again. I'm gonna mix up the green, and then I'm gonna pour it right into my mold. So again, you wanna make sure that you have everything ready, because once you start, you cannot stop. So here we go. All right, so I have my oil, I have my lye water. All right, and always make sure you have some towels handy. I think this always helps. Okay, so lye water is gonna go in. Careful not to splash. So that's gonna go in. I am also gonna put in my peppermint essential oil. And then I'm gonna give this a quick blend, just enough to get it incorporated. I don't want it to thicken up too much. Okay, then I'm gonna take some of that batter and I'm gonna put that into the green. I'm gonna take my titanium dioxide, I'm gonna put that into the big bowl, put that right on here. Now I'm gonna blend this up. I don't want it to be super thick, just thick enough. Okay, so we got that. Now I'm gonna come over into the green and mix that up. I'm doing this to what's called like a thin trace. I don't want it really thick. I want it kind of thin. And what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna take all of my white and that's gonna get all poured into my silicone mold. And let's get all that soap out of there. Okay, now I am going to take my green, and when I pour this in, I'm gonna move it around. Because I want it to go all through the soap. And move around. And once you get kind of towards the end, you go real light. That way it kind of sits up on top. All right. And then once you get all that in, you're going to take a chopstick and swirl your soap around. And that's what's going to give you that swirly look. Now you don't want to go too crazy swirling it around because you're just going to end up with something that looks mucky. So just swirl it just enough. And that's it. You just made soap. So once that is in here like this, you can kind of give it a couple taps, get out any little air bubbles. Another thing you can do is you can spray it with some alcohol, which I don't have handy right now. But what you're gonna end up with, and let me clear this out of the way. Okay, now that you've done your soap, you let it sit overnight. Now you're gonna be taking it out of the molds. So I'm gonna pop this out of the holder mold. I'm gonna take this silicone and pull it back from my soap. Get my fingers in there. And basically I'm just gonna keep dropping it. Get it to loosen up. Sometimes easier said than done. There we go. Okay, soap is out of the mold. All right, now it is still pretty soft, but now you need to start the drying process. So I'm gonna turn that right side up. And what you're gonna do then is you're going to just cut your soap up into bars, and you can use a template so that you get them all exact. That way they're all the same size. But you're basically going to be cutting up your soap and then having it sit out to start drying out, because the drier the bar is, the longer it lasts. It also gets more mild too. So, and this is Cucumber Aloe Soap 101. For more information on the recipe, as far as all the measurements, everything, go to greentimeworkshop.com. And you can sign up to watch all the videos there and you will get all the recipes. This is Holly from Green Time Workshop. Thanks for tuning in.